Is this thing on? Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Take no offence. They needed someone to do what you're not capable of doing, lads. So I'm there to help your marriages and your relationships. And you are welcome. So you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X. Wow! We're here to talk about The Penguin today, episode 1. And wow, am I impressed by this production, by this opening episode. This episode of Penguin, and it looks like the whole show is going to do the same thing, is everything that modern entertainment isn't. It's slow paced. It's got that beautiful kind of slow pacing we used to have in films when I was a kid, whether it's Dead Ringers, whether it's The Godfather, that quiet atmosphere about the characters, about, the dialogue, brilliant dialogue. But wow, Colin Farrell is a beast of an actor, isn't he, everyone? I never really rated him as a brilliant actor. I thought he was a good actor. I really liked him in Phone Booth. To me, that was always his greatest performance. Who would have thought that he could have this latex and hide behind it and create this brilliant characterization of the iconic Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin? And I mean, this is the acting that I learned at RADA, executed by Colin Farrell in this first episode. Acting isn't just about learning your lines and exposing your dialogue. It's about playing a character, becoming something else. And this is exactly what Colin Farrell did in The Batman and what he did in episode 1 of The Penguin. But let's go back a bit, everyone. I read an IGN review for The Penguin. It was scathingly negative, saying it didn't pull off being a great kind of mobster drama. That's not what it is. This is not a mafia drama. Yes, centrally there's the Falcones, right? So they're a mafia family. It's not really, they're not the central point. They're there, but this is about Penguin's rise to power and what type of character he is. Yes, the theme is mobster based. He wants power within the mob. But this is not The Sopranos. This is Penguin. This is about Penguin. So basically, I think that IGN lied. And I'll tell you why. IGN are Disney, Marvel, and Disney Star Wars shields. So it came to no surprise to me that they gave Agatha All Along, the brand new Marvel Cinematic Universe streaming show on D+, a brilliant review. Brilliant review. They gave that piece of shit a brilliant review, and they gave Penguin a shit review. So let's get into this opening episode. Now, it actually has a title, which I've forgotten, so I'm going to be unprofessional and reach to my piece of paper here. Sorry about this. Is it here? Yes, it is. I had the nozzle to write it down. You know me, I forget fucking everything. I'm shit at reviews. Ever since I started this channel, my reviews have been shit. But let's try it, because I'm very passionate about good DC. You know I love my DC. And it's called After Hours, but the opening to this episode is very interesting. You kind of get a little recap from the Batman. Now, it's not a blatant recap. You get lots of news headlines and Penguins watching the telly, and it's done in that way. And, Michael Giacchino's theme is playing at the beginning. It's very cleverly done, so you get the feel that this is part of the Batman universe. Now, despite my frustration of Batman not being involved, they're right. You don't really need Batman in this, not the way they've done it. It will be over-egging the pudding. But they couldn't afford Robert Pattinson on a streaming budget because they can't use his contract because of union rules. And they couldn't afford John Turturro, I think that's the actor's name, right, to play Carmine Falcone. After watching episode 1, seeing he died in the other episode, I don't know why Mark Strong's playing him. We haven't seen him in episode 1. That's a spoiler, by the way, if you haven't seen it. Is he still alive or is it flashbacks? I have no fucking idea. But Mark Strong's a great choice. In the pictures I've seen of him, he looks exactly how Turturro did in The Batman. So I'm not that triggered or upset. So anyway, this episode starts it off. The Penguin goes to, I've already forgotten the bloody name. You see on crack? Capone? What's his name? What's that bloke? Falcone. I'm useless, ain't I? So he goes to Carmine Falcone's office. He takes off this secret compartment and he nicks some jewelry. But he gets caught by Alberto Falcone, who is now in charge of the whole Falcone mafia. So anyway, he convinces Alberto that he wasn't stealing the jewelry. They get pissed. Falcone takes some drugs. He puts them in his eyes. And, but then Alberto Falcone insults the Penguin. So basically the Penguin murders him. Very calmly just shoots him. It's a reaction by Oswald. And so as he's taking the body out, he sees a bunch of kids trying to steal his car. And he shoots at them. They get away apart from one called Vic. It is Vic, isn't it? And it's very interesting. He befriends this young man. First, he threatens to kill him. And then when they get rid of the body, it's like he's going to kill him with a baseball bat. I don't know if that's him just playing the kid, having some fun with the kid. I'm not sure. Do you know what that relationship between Vic and Oz reminds me of? Have you ever seen Dick Tracy starring Warren Beatty, when he has this relationship, this friendship with the kid, this orphan, homeless kid? It feels very reminiscent of that. And it's a great dynamic. The actor, whatever his name is, and I'm sorry that I don't know your name, don't want to be disrespectful, but I will pay you the respect of saying you're very, very good. He also has a stutter. Not sure if that stutter is something he performs. If it is, it's very hard to perform a stutter. But yeah, the acting is fantastic throughout the board. It's proper actors. The writing is outstanding. Lauren LaFranc has done a great job. As I say, the only thing I didn't like about this episode, later on in the episode, when they have Oz prisoner and they're torturing him, she starts coming out with this feminist drivel. Am I over-emotional? Am I imagining things? Blah, blah, blah. The typical shit you hear from feminists, right? I'll let it go. I'll let it go because it was great. It was fucking great. Apart from that, it was amazing. And the lady playing Sophia Capone is brilliant. She's a brilliant character. But what I would say about this first episode also is it doesn't remind me of a kind of mafia drama. It doesn't remind me of The Sopranos. It reminds me of Columbo. Anyone remember Peter Falk starring in Columbo as this really intelligent, copper who looks like a tramp, dresses like a tramp? Well, Sophia Capone pretty much has worked out from the first moment she sees Oz that he has killed her brother, right? Alberto. She can smell it. She can smell his nerves, and he's gone missing, and she was close to her brother. Now, in the marketing, I thought they were going to team up and try and take over the Falcone empire. Maybe that's going to happen. We'll see what happens. But yeah, what you see is it's very, very interesting because I tell you what, one of the best scenes is when he goes home to see his mother. She looks very weak at first, and he gives her, Alberto's necklace and all of that. She hasn't taken her meds. But what happens is she forces him to tell her why, because he says, we've got to go on a holiday because he's scared Sophia Capone's going to come after them because there's been this big car chase where her thugs have come after him. Or didn't that happen yet? Can't remember. Anyway, so he tells her that he murdered Alberto Falcone. And he goes, I was stupid, it was just a reaction. And she goes, are you a pussy boy? And she's insulting him, right? It's interesting because extremist Hollywood would normally have a man saying that to their kid or their son. It's interesting that it's coming from a woman's mouth. Very, very interesting. But she goes, you didn't do anything wrong. You were right. You're almost there. You're going to take over like you always wanted. And it kind of seems hinted that maybe Oz murdered his father as well. I'm not too sure about this. Make no mistake about this, though. This is the continuation of Oswald Cobblepot from the Batman, which is a very obvious statement to make, but it's so consistent with the way he was in this film, and it's the next chapter. And this could have easily been a movie. Matt Reeves already telling us that originally this was meant to be Act 1 of the Batman 2. I don't know if that could have worked. Obviously, they would have done it differently. It would have been shortened down. Because how does that work? How do you do that within the first act? You have no Batman within the first act of a movie. It would have to be, the first film was around 3 hours. It would have to be 3 hours again. Because even if they cut it down, that element would at least have to be what? 45 minutes, an hour? That would be crazy. It would be interesting to watch for sure. I don't know if people would have lost patience with no Batman or Bruce Wayne for an hour. Very, very interesting. But this show could have been put together as a movie. It's shot like Taxi Driver or something like that. It feels very reminiscent of Taxi Driver rather than like this mobster thing. He's more like the character Travis Bickle, the Penguin, in this episode, and even in the Batman, than he is, of a typical gangster. So it's very, very interesting. So he goes to see Maroni in prison and offers him a deal that they'll steal all the drugs from the Falcones. Now, Maroni's not interested because he doesn't trust Oz. But then when Oz gives him Alberto's ring, which was obviously Carmine Falcone's ring originally, then Maroni realizes that, Oz may be a little bit more because he took it off Alberto's, is it Alberto? I've been saying that name. I'm crap with names, get over it. But anyway, so obviously Maroni starts to think, yeah, maybe we can do a deal here. So it's very interesting. But then Oz shows how clever he is. And again, it's the wolf in sheep's clothing, isn't it? It's a bit like, as I said, Columbo, who's kind of looks like a tramp, doesn't look like a good police officer, but he's the smartest guy in the room. And this is what Oz is as well. And everyone underestimates him because of the way he looks. So he comes up with this plan. So as Sophia Capone and her dudes are torturing him, a car crashes at the property, at the mansion, with Alberto's, I think it's Alberto's body, basically the Falcone boy's body, in the boot, and it says payback. And basically what Oz has done, he's got Vic, this kid, to crash this car and make it look like the Maronis. Is it the Maronis? I hope it's the Maronis. Anyway, the Maronis have done this, right? Or whatever their bloody name is, the rival gangster family, right? So he's basically put them in the frame. So now they have to admit to it, even though they didn't do it. So for now, Oz is off the hook. So just a brilliant, I think it was about an hour. It flew. It was amazing. But it is interesting when you should go and reread IGN's review, because I couldn't believe what I was reading. I didn't believe that it was going to be bad, or that, at the very least, that bad. One of my biggest fears for Penguin was this was going to be a bait and switch, and this was going to be about Sophia Capone. It's not Capone, is it? It's not fucking Capone, is it? Falcone. Is it? I'm shit. You've probably already switched off. But yeah, it's so good. And I love the slow pacing. I love the way it builds up to everything. Even in this episode, you can see Oz growing in confidence. And it's so good. It really is a refreshing change. But think about this as we compare, Penguin with Agatha All Along. Agatha All Along is a piece of shit that is basically just the latest MCU D+ show. They're going through the motions. It's the usual extremism and propaganda, bad writing, bad everything. I'm not going to watch it, right? I've seen the trailers. People told me it's a piece of shit. I believe them it's a piece of shit. I wouldn't watch it. There's no point in me watching that shit. Hopefully Fantastic Four will bring back the MCU and Kevin Feige again. We live in hope. But the difference between Penguin and what I've seen in the trailers for Agatha All Along and what people have reported to me about Agatha All Along is night and day. This is a proper HBO drama. But this is my fear. As we lurch into James Gunn's plastic bottled universe, this kind of work, like this first episode of Penguin, is things we're going away from, right? And we're going to get less and less of productions like this. Now, I said yesterday on the DC Universe podcast that I suspect we won't get a Batman 3, which will be a big shame, and everything will be spin-offs on HBO. Seeing this first episode, maybe that won't be a bad thing, but to take away this type of production from cinema is a ringing indictment of modern day entertainment. The reason Penguin is on Max, because it's a struggling, yet another struggling streaming platform. There has to be streaming spin-offs. It's part of the game. It has to happen. And it's a shame that this is not a movie. Many people around the world who can't get Max, who can't get Now TV in the UK. I saw Now TV. I saw it on Now TV from the UK. I'm in Cyprus, of course. Shouldn't have said that. I'm going to be in trouble. But anyway, this is a 10 out of 10 drama. It is so good. There's no CGI. There's a car chase, right? Yeah. But there's not much action. It's about the characterization of Penguin. It's about Colin Farrell's performance. And as I said on the top of the show, the man's performance is a beast. If you want to learn about acting, watch Colin Farrell as the Penguin. And I'll say again, I never thought that Colin was capable of this. And then when he said in an interview that by the end of the series he got fed up of playing the character because he's under all this latex, it's really difficult. That moment when he's naked, obviously he's not really naked. He's under all this latex or whatever it is, right? But what's amazing about it, it looks amazing. It looks fucking amazing. He looks like another person, Colin Farrell. And I was always amazed by this, even in the Batman. But it's not enough to look like Oswald Cobblepot, right? Look different, as Colin does. It's the acting. It's creating another character, another person. He's got to put on an accent while he's under all this makeup and latex. It's fucking hard work. This is not all, people see the red carpets and the pictures and they think being an actor, being a mainstream actor in films and television is glamorous. And it's not glamorous. It's not. It's work. Colin Farrell and the rest of them went to work to make this show. It's work. I love the fact that they used the song Working from 9 to 5. Brilliant. But another thing I really enjoyed is the relationship between Vic, don't know if that's right, the boy, and Oz. It's a really good relationship. It's very interesting. It started from a very interesting place of Oz threatening to kill him. But he sees himself in Vic, a kid who had nothing. We learn a little bit about the Cobblepot family as well. We keep on seeing these pictures of Oz and his two brothers. So that's interesting as well. Now, I don't know if he's made up this backstory, Matt Reeves, or if it's in the comics. I don't think we've ever had a backstory for Oswald Cobblepot in the comics. But if you're a DC Batman aficionado, comic book fan, let me know if there's ever been an origin story for the Penguin. It's interesting because the Penguin's origin was born out from a Batman film that isn't actually an origin story. Very, very interesting. And they've created this magnificent character, and who would have thought Colin Farrell could do this? In truth, Farrell probably should have won some kind of Oscar for that performance. He should definitely win a fucking Emmy for what I saw in this first episode. And as I say, the Sophia character, right? Falcone, because I forgot again. The Sophia Falcone character is very interesting because she's just come out of Arkham. So she's a killer, she's dangerous, and it's a very interesting dynamic between her and Oz. Because basically everyone knows who and what Oz is. He can't be trusted. They know his ambitions. Nobody really thinks this guy can pull it off, but we know ultimately that he will. But it's not about him pulling it off, it's about the execution. It's how he does it. And interestingly enough, what happens to Sophia Falcone? What happens with her? Does she die by the end of it? Does Oz kill her? Will she run the Falcone family by the time we get to the Batman 2? I think what's really good about this show, and I think it's really going to help for the Batman 2, it's building up the Batman 2. And we've already been told by Matt Reeves, by the end of this series, it basically leaves you where the Batman 2 starts. What Reeves and the showrunner, Lauren LaFranc, have done, they've created another facet to the Batman universe. We're getting a Batman dynasty. And here is a very, very big problem. Don't forget that Matt Reeves was brought on by other people. Before James Gunn and Peter Safran came along, before DC Studios came along, you know, people brought Matt in to do this. The Batman was originally going to be Ben Affleck's The Batman movie, if you remember. I think that James Gunn needs to think carefully about his Batman plans. I think we could do, I know it'd be great to get a DC Universe Batman, but I think what Matt Reeves is creating is such a dynasty for Batman that I don't think at this moment in time we should have two Batmen. And I would be very upset if all this goes down the wayside after the Penguin series, after the Batman 2, we hear we're getting no more. Now, Matt has teased more spin-offs, and he said his original plan was for a trilogy. But he didn't confirm that trilogy will happen because he can't. We've got to see how the Batman 2 does. I think certainly people will go and see the Batman 2 for anything, for anything, because of the intrigue built up in the Penguin. But this is old school drama, everyone. You've never seen a DC movie like this. You've never seen a DC TV show like this. This is old school kind of writing. And it's so performance based and it's so character based. And that is what we don't get in entertainment anymore. These days in comic book movies and comic book shows, it's all about the visuals. I don't know what Marvel are doing. I think Marvel, I don't even know how to explain what Marvel are doing on D+. It's insanity. But as I say, The Penguin is a serious drama that absolutely takes itself seriously. And what Colin Farrell and Matt Reeves and Lauren LaFranc have done in this show has created a continuing characterization of Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin, from the Batman movie. The writing is great. Lauren LaFranc has done a great job. Matt Reeves' vision for this character is brilliant. But the credit really has to go to Colin Farrell, because it's all right having the vision for this character like Matt Reeves has had. It's great for Lauren LaFranc to develop this show as well as she has. But without the actor to execute Matt's and Lauren's vision, you've got fucking nothing. And I don't know of many actors who could have done this. Because it really is, don't forget, this is an Irishman with an Irish accent. He's putting on an accent under all that. Right, it must be hot. It must be awful for Colin. It really must be. And he's kind of said it was. And it's true. It must be boiling. Imagine on a soundstage half the time, right? I mean, they were outside a lot in this first episode, but you know, most of it would have been shot on the soundstage. It's fucking hot on a soundstage, and it's very difficult to call a soundstage. Very difficult. I can tell you that from experience. So it would have been a nightmare for Colin, because don't forget, in the Batman, he's not in it as much. He's still in it quite a lot, but not as much. This series is him. It's his show. I think he's in most of the scenes. Is he in every scene? I can't remember now. If he wasn't in every scene, he was in most of them. I think he was in every fucking scene, by the way. I think. Maybe bar one. Can't remember now. Very, very hard work. Acting is hard work. Acting is work. It is not glamorous. It's great to pretend and create a characterization, but it's also work, and I think people forget that. So what Colin Farrell has done with Oswald Cobblepot from the vision of Matt Reeves is fucking amazing. And I believe, I know IGN said that they didn't pull off the kind of crime drama element of it, the gangster element of it, but I think they did. I think they did that very well. But I'll say what I said ages ago. It's not necessarily a mafia drama. The mafia element is a big theme within the series and the episode, but ultimately it's about Oz and his rise to power. How he was down at the bottom, that he was Carmine Falcone's kind of errand boy, and slowly but surely, he's craftily, intelligently, rising to power. And it's basically a moral of don't underestimate someone like this. Because people seem to overestimate attractive people, glamorous people, and underestimate people who look like Oz. It's a societal thing, isn't it? And I think that's the story that they're telling in this series and in the Batman with this character. This is a nasty little shit who's very, very crafty. He's a bit of a rat, if you like, Oswald Cobblepot, in the Batman universe. So if you've seen it, I'd love for you to comment. Please subscribe if you haven't. Let me know what you thought of The Penguin episode 1. Really glad we only got one episode, because as brilliant as it was, I couldn't have taken 4 back-to-back episodes or for me to binge it all. There's a lot to take in. So I'm happy with 1 episode a week. That's enough for me. But it's brilliant. As I say, it's everything what old entertainment was. It's intelligently written. When we talk about bad dialogue these days, bad movies, most movies today are underwhelming. Most comic book movies today are underwhelming. But this certainly wasn't underwhelming. This was beyond anything I thought it would be. And it was very, very good. From the murder of the Falcone boy to the way it builds up to something else. And it builds up Penguin, because even at the beginning, he's still a little bit of a run. But the Falcone murder that he commits makes him have to think on his feet. As Sophia Falcone says to him, you've always got an answer. You're always, and it's true. And he is one step ahead of everyone else. He's a bullshitter, right? A man after my own heart. I love a good bullshitter. But it's a brilliant characterization. It's a great show. And what's brilliant is Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot, is front and center in this little drama. And if you're going to make these type of shows for the brand new Batman dynasty, I think it's great. This is something that Batman has needed for a very long time, because the Batman is a great character, but he's also got this brilliant rogues gallery. If you could develop every single member of the rogues gallery that Batman has, like they've done Penguin, you've got something incredibly special. And it makes you wonder who the villain or villains will be in the Batman 2. I've always predicted there'll be more than one villain in this movie. Could Mr. Freeze be involved? Could you make a gritty, realistic version of Mr. Freeze? I think you can. I don't even think it's a huge leap to make a realistic, non-fantastical version of Mr. Freeze. We'll talk about that in another video, maybe in the future. But what I'm reporting to you, if you haven't seen this first episode of The Penguin, that it's outstanding, that it's everything missing from modern entertainment, and this is the quality of HBO. This is a difference between an HBO production and a Disney Plus production. HBO are making something. Matt Reeves has a plan. This is part of Matt Reeves' plan. Matt Reeves is a genius. Now, I love the Batman. I do. I still think there's white racism, and it's a problem to me. There's issues with it. But at the end of the day, in terms of creativity and entertainment and building up this Batman universe, this Batman dynasty, is fantastic. But more importantly, In Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, Colin Farrell and Matt Reeves and Lauren LaFranc have created something utterly breathtaking and fascinating. And this, my friends, is what written drama should be all about.